My name is Siobhan Bennett. I'm 22 years old, and my family roots are from England and from Ireland. My hopes and dreams for Indigenous ministry are big ones, and they're general dreams. Hopes like this consultation will tell people that we're doing something, and that they should be too. Dreams that you could take Indigenous ministry from one part of the country and shape it to be something that could work in your own country and in your own parishes. A hope that it can make a difference in knowledge and in spirituality, like it's made a difference in mine. I want to share a quick story. At the TRC closing event in Ottawa, it was one of the first Indigenous ministry things that I had ever done. I heard a woman sing the most beautiful and sorrow-filled song on the steps of Parliament for the missing and murdered Indigenous women, and I wept really hard. I felt so filled with the Holy Spirit that it changed my relationship with God and brought it to a whole new level. My hopes and dreams are hard to describe, and they're still growing. I'm the youngest person present in our consultation, and when the covenant was written, I wasn't even born yet. So what I hope and dream is that people all across our country will want to learn more than what they know, that they'll want to immerse themselves in the absolute beauty and wonder that is your culture. But I also understand that hopes and dreams like mine might be a little too big for right now. But by the end of our time here together, maybe it won't be. The things that we're going to talk about and the things that we already have talked, and the things we already have talked about are going to help change the lives of the people in our country and in our church in the best way possible, and I am so excited to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Silk Nissa. Good afternoon to all of you. Simgigat, Sigidam Hana, Gubawilksit. Hasaretum Doyak Samogit, Zimlacha, and get named Amasat Guna. Iluam Tkari will get Nisam Luanital Zimwilt Guna. Zidakwat Wilpsum Augit Gwachsugans Nis Lysian will witqui. Egin Golich will Zagay. Diocese of Caledonia will witqui. Chiefs, matriarchs, and all of our young people. First of all, I want to thank God for giving us this good day. I am happy to see all of you who are sitting in this hall today. My name is Tzedak, which means to wring the neck of ducks. It is a hunter's name, handed down to me through 4 generations of men. The first person to have this name was one of my grandfathers, who is now deceased, and he was a teenager when he received this name, and he was in his 80s when he died, not too in the early 90s. My English name is Jeff. That's my preferred English name, Jeff. Okay. I come from the house of Chief Gwachsu, who's Stuart Doolin, and Chief Neas Lysian, Edward Moore. I live in the community of Kincolith, and I come out of the Diocese of Caledonia. Currently, I have been in theological studies at Vancouver School of Theology. Barbara Shumsky has been one of my tutors. She knows just as well as I do that I've been there for almost 150 years. And the Reverend Lily Bell has also been my tutor, along with Willard Martin. Willard is my uncle and is my paternal family member. So it's an honor to be here today alongside one of my uncles. I want to acknowledge Aaron, who first spoke to me about this consultation. And then he had asked me if I wanted to take part, and I said yes without thinking. And so as the days got closer, I felt like David facing Goliath. And as the plane got closer to Winnipeg, I had all these vibes coming to me. Oh no, I'm shaking. There's a lot of bishops there. What I did for this presentation was I went out into the community and I spoke with primarily the elders and a number of young people, not so young, 40s, 50s. And the first thing that came to mind through these discussions for the Indigenous self-determination was that we require strong ecumenism in the Indigenous Anglican Church if it is to succeed as a truly and fully self-determined church. All decisions that are made in the Anglican Church of Canada should be made in the best interest of the Indigenous people as well. We have no room in the Indigenous Church for opposition. Where we are met with opposition in the Indigenous Church, we Indigenous people should elect to find ways to remediate that opposition so that we can continue as one unified body of Christ within the Anglican Church of Canada. As Indigenous Anglicans, we should also continue our relationship with the Lutheran Church of Canada and be open and accepting of newly converted Anglicans. Number two, the second theme that came out of these discussions was that Indigenous Anglicanism equals liberal theology. And the reason why I bring that up today is because a lot of our indigenous communities are matrilineal. The bloodline flows through the mother. When the Anglican missionaries first came to Indigenous reserves in Canada, they came from the Church of England. However, in the Nass Valley, we had Methodists, I believe. They got tired of us, so they left, and then in came the Anglicans, and they stayed. At that time, the missionaries were 100% conservative. They had one objective to achieve, and that objective proved to be very tumultuous for Indigenous people across this land. Conservative Anglicans scared Indigenous peoples into conversion, saying that they would indeed go to hell once they died and wouldn't enter the kingdom of heaven unless they repented of their sinful ways of living. And for us Indigenous people, we understand how necessary it is to be connected to our traditional way of life. To this very day, there are some Anglicans who still believe that you're either fully Christian, or you're fully traditional. You cannot live those two ways. And that's as a result of the work of the missionaries. Therefore, according to some of the interviews that I conducted in my community before this consultation, many of my people have said that yes, an Indigenous Anglican church should be liberal in theology. There is no way around this. If we are to survive as a self-determining church, we need to set aside conservatism in favor of liberalism. The third theme that came out of a discussion with some young people, not chiefs or matriarchs, but are well on their way to becoming one, is to be open and accepting. And what I am about to say might rock some of you off of your seats. So I apologize in advance if this happens. We Indigenous and non-Indigenous people alike no doubt grew up in a home where respect was placed at a very high standard. We are to respect our parents, our siblings, our aunts and uncles, close friends and confidants. As well as in the Indigenous communities, we are to respect our chiefs and matriarchs and the land in which we live. We cannot, and I emphasize cannot, change the way people are born, and this is where it's going to get a little tough. Many of us know by the time we are little boys and little girls at a very young age, whether or not we identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer, transgender, or two-spirited. God created us human beings, and in the book of Genesis says that he saw that they were good. Therefore, our Indigenous Church, in favor of respect and dignity, must be willing to be open and accepting of the many types of sexual identities people across this land possess. We, the Indigenous peoples of the Anglican Church of Canada, must acknowledge people's rights to be happy in any form of relationship that they choose to be in. Therefore, we should endorse same-sex marriage, and we should acknowledge that members of the LGBTQ2 community have rights to be members of any of the 3 sacred offices in the Anglican Church of Canada. For some of us today, I might be pushing some buttons, and it might be a little uncomfortable for you to hear me saying this. The reason why I brought this up was because in our communities, in our Indigenous communities, before contact, we knew that some of our people were different. We knew and understood that some of them were different. But we didn't shame them, we didn't push them away. Rather, what we did was we created this new society that they would be a part of in that Indigenous community, because they had powers. They could see into 2 worlds, the masculine and the feminine. Education for ordained ministry and Indigenous postulancy conferences is another issue that was brought up from elders that I had spoken to in my community. This is primarily a result of a discussion between myself and my priest. And so this is what I took from our discussion. Many First Nations people who have entered into any of the 3 sacred offices were automatically ordained because, number 1, they weren't going to leave their community. Number 2, the community saw them to be fit for such ministry. Number 3, they watched how they were able to carry themselves in that said community. And what I am going to say at this time is that we, if it hasn't already happened, should put a stop to that at all costs. Because if we ordain Indigenous peoples just because they're not going to leave their community, that could prove to be a little dangerous, especially when it's time for that individual to deliver a message from the Gospels. I have sat in Indigenous churches across Canada where hell and condemnation was still being preached in an Anglican church. It's not a form of bringing the good news that we Anglicans should be doing. That is an effect of the missionary days when the missionaries first came to our lands. And this was going on because the preachers weren't properly trained to preach. Ordaining untrained, uneducated deacons, priests, and bishops will prove to be harmful in the Indigenous church. Therefore, we must fix this issue over the next decade so that we have properly trained clergy people. Those deacons and priests who will be working in rural communities or inner city centers should also have some sort of counseling training. Therefore, an indigenized CPE program should be developed, if it hasn't already, in order to train clergy people on how to counsel those who are in distress, those Indigenous peoples who are in the hospitals long term. And we need to enroll potential clergy people in a Master of Divinity program that will promote more than 50% of the degree program to Indigenous theology and spirituality, which I believe the Vancouver School of Theology is doing a great job at already. Non-Indigenous clergy who will be working in rural communities, appointed to those rural communities by their bishops, should also have some form of Indigenous theology and spirituality training as a part of their education program. Indigenous postulancy program should be mandatory if it hasn't already been in existence, so that if somebody goes up to a potential postulant and says, have you gone to the postulancy conference yet? And they have no idea what a postulant is. The Indigenous Anglican should rally major theological institutions in Canada to have an Indigenous liaison and spiritual director who would work in partnership with theological institution and the Indigenous person's diocese in order to make sure that their experience in seminary is a positive one. The fifth theme that came up in my discussions about this consultation was the practice of Indigenous rights. Don't worry, I have another 45 minutes to go. It's a perfect example of preaching in the pulpit, right? Prior to the ordination of seminary students who successfully complete a degree, these candidates should undergo a form of traditional ceremony. Further, we, the Indigenous seminarians and clergy people who are in the We, the Indigenous seminarians who are in the process of being ordained, should elect to forego the long-standing use of vestments in favor of some sort of regalia in the church. This is very important. there are some Anglicans, and I didn't know this until a very good friend of mine pointed out to me, who are terrified of seeing a clergy person in a cassock. Okay. And that's all due to residential school era and Indian day school, what have you. When non-Indigenous deacons and priests and bishops are present, we, the Indigenous Anglicans who are clergy, may either elect to use their albs or remain using their regalia, whatever they so choose in the bishop's presence. Here is another issue that has come forward, and it's a very serious issue. It pertains to how do we Indigenous people deal with wrongdoers in our communities. And I will try to explain to you this person's thoughts. Okay. I have what I'm presenting to you today are not the words that I came up with. How they were. It's a result of a discussion between people, where people who have been identified at their ordination as wrongdoers and in their ordinal service, the bishop in charge of that diocese should not automatically dismiss the person from their right to be ordained. Why? Many people are falsely accused, and until that can be proven that it's not a false accusation, or if it is indeed a correct statement that is being made, then certain protocols should be followed with that regard. So I have come into contact with people who were falsely accused, and they were brought into custody, and what had happened was that this person underwent a lie detector test and was proven to be falsely accused. So we have to be very careful when it comes to those sort of issues. Each diocese, whether or not they have an appointed Indigenous bishop in charge of that diocese, should have one or two suffragan bishops who will work under the authority of the current national Indigenous bishop of the Anglican Church of Canada. This is to ensure that the workload of His Grace, Mark MacDonald, is not overbearing. This is the only way that we can see the Indigenous Church as being successful, and it's in its advanced ministry. In conclusion, I want to thank the organizers for having me here today. It is indeed an honor to be sitting here addressing all of you in this consultation. May the good Lord richly bless all of you as you continue your quest in self-determination in the Anglican Church of Canada. And may God bestow His blessings upon all of your congregations as they support you in your ministry. Gabihle That's all I have to say.